And we are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. That's what the controls say. No problems this time around. So, hey, this is Ralph. Got started maybe a minute or two late. I was tuning in to the Grow Rich Mastermind call, and sometimes that goes a little long. And man, listening to people's stories, sharing their experiences, and it's a really neat group. If you want to become a part of that, you can go ahead and I'm going to show you my link page here. There it is right now. You can go to www.ralphshomebiz.com/offers. The very first link on that page is the Grow Rich Mastermind call. It is a free offer, and it is a neat group. People sharing their journey, how they went from being broke to being, whole lot better off, and giving encouragement to folks that are still working on attaining their own freedom financially and economically through their business activities, whatever they may be. A lot of us are into different businesses, and we're all there to encourage one another, share stories, share our experiences, and just hang out. And so, yeah, that call went a little longer. It was neat, though. It was neat. But today's podcast here, we're going to talk about the difference between being an employee and being an entrepreneur. Now, in the beginning, when I first got started in my own business, I didn't really know what an entrepreneur was. I considered myself to be self employed. And before that, I was an employee. I went from the state of mind of where my job owned me to where I owned my own job. And that was a good feeling. And then I began to find out, okay, what is it to be an entrepreneur? And when I'm active in certain Facebook groups or certain online forums, there are groups for entrepreneurs, people that are presenting business opportunities and work from home business opportunities. And sometimes these groups will market themselves by saying, we learn to earn money from home, make money online. And some people will come into those groups with the attitude of, okay, I've been working for an employer for many, many years. Now I want to change my real world employer for an online employer. And they will come into these groups wanting to find out, do you have a job for me? And there is a huge difference between having a job and having a business opportunity. Or another way you can look at this is there's a big difference between being owned by your job and having the freedom of owning your own business, having your own business opportunity. There's a world of difference, and there's pros and cons actually to both of these. And what I'm going to do the rest of this live stream is just talk about the pros and the cons of being an employee as opposed to being an entrepreneur. Uh, when you're an employee, one of the pros of being an employee is you don't have a whole lot of responsibility. You show up for work when the boss wants you to be there. You do the jobs that the boss wants you to do. You stay there until the job is done or until your shift runs out. And then you clock out, you go home, and in exchange for that, you do that, a few times a week. If you're lucky enough to be working a 40-hour a week job, you might get, $200-300 a week, higher paid jobs, maybe $500 or $600 a week. Who knows? Depends on what the wage is in your neighborhood where you're working. But yeah, you've got very little responsibility. Actually, you just need to show up, be there, do the bare minimum, and then clock out, go home. End of the week, you get a paycheck. Uh, Being an entrepreneur, it's not that same world. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to do a follow up live stream entitled Who in Their Right Mind Would Want to Be an Entrepreneur? Because, yeah, being an entrepreneur, it is a totally different world. You have a lot more responsibility, and there is no guarantee of a paycheck at the end of the week. You can make it happen, but you have to make it happen. And it's like being an entrepreneur, you don't work for somebody else. You're working your own business. An entrepreneur is a person that either owns their own business or they own a business system or sales system or money making system that they then work, and they take total responsibility for setting the system up, doing the work necessary to promote the system to get things running. And then at the end of the day, if they've done everything well, there might be a paycheck in it for them right on down the line. But there is no guarantee. It's not like you show up, you punch a time clock, you go out there, you do the bare minimum, you get a paycheck. I mean, you kind of look back. I look back. I left that world back in 2011 thinking that was the rat race. And, it is, to me, it is what I consider to be a rat race. But, sometimes when my home business is running slow, I kind of look back on that and think, wouldn't it be neat to be able to go out and, be able to hustle up $200-300 a week just by selling my soul to an employer? Maybe even $600-700 a week selling my soul to an in employer. Can hardly say that word anymore. But the one main pro to being an employee is that of having a guaranteed paycheck. And as an entrepreneur, we don't have that guarantee. We have to work, we got to hustle, we got to make it happen. And then in the end, once you've learned how to do the business right, once you've learned to do the business well, yeah, you can start getting money rolling in. It's like this morning, one of my home businesses. I woke up, checked the email, made a sale overnight. Just money coming in while I slept. That's neat once you get to that stage. But honestly, it took me quite a few months to get that business built up to that stage. It took me a long time to learn that business, to get it rolling, get it promoted well enough to where now it's paying me while I sleep. And I'm loving it. But it didn't happen on day one, didn't happen on day two. It took me a few months to get it up to that stage. And some folks out there, it may take even longer. So, yeah, all honesty, it's great once you become an entrepreneur, get your businesses in profit, getting them paying you, but it takes time, it takes work. So, yeah, the one benefit of being an employee, you can show up, just show up, hungover. God, back when I was a practicing alcoholic 17 some years ago, I used to do that. I would show up hungover, not in my best frame of mind, just do the bare minimum, get paid. Wow. As an entrepreneur, I can't do that. I got to be sober. I got to know my stuff. So, yeah, but the one benefit being an employee, working for somebody else, yeah, not a whole lot of responsibility. If you know how to show up, if you can do the job and you do the job, you get paid. Pretty simple. Now, what's the con of being an employee? What's the downside of it? Well, the downside is limited freedom and limited income potential. It's like if you're an hourly employee, you're selling your time for a few dollars an hour. In my neck of the woods now, we used to be at about 7.25 minimum wage. That's what it was when I was working minimum wage. God, 13 some years ago. And now it's like $12 an hour. But no matter what the minimum wage is or what your wage is, as an hourly employee, you're trading your time for money. And you've got to give that time to your boss. You've got to give that time to your job. If something happens, you can call in sick. You can do that a few times. But if you do it too often, they let you go. You can't just take off for a birthday party. You can't just take off because your wife is sick, your parents are sick, your dog is sick. Maybe you've had a death in the family. Okay, a good employer will give you some leeway. They'll let you take sick leave. They'll let you take some funeral leave, but you have to have all your paperwork in order. And sometimes some employers I've dealt with, I mean, God, they don't even give you a lot of leeway in that area. So yeah, you're trading your time for money. You're trading away your freedom for a paycheck, and your income really is not that scalable. It's like one of the last jobs I worked as an hourly employee. I uh, I agreed to a ridiculously low wage because I was hungry. I was desperate. It was in a town that was like 60 miles away from where I live, but it was with what I considered to be at the time a very good company. And so I said, "Yeah, I will work with you. I will work for you for that wage." And I was thinking in the back of my mind, every other job I had, this was retail. Every other retail job that I had, you'd get pay raises every couple of months. And the guy said, "Well, yeah, you'll get regular pay raises." So I thought, okay, great. Every couple of months, there'll be a performance review. I'll be able to get a little pay raise. And before too long, I'll be able to work my way up the ladder. And I had my application in for management. And I thought, okay, I had a lot of potential here with this company. Well, I went ahead, I hired on, signed the paperwork. Lo and behold, I found out that what they called regular, you know, pay increases, they weren't monthly, they weren't bi-monthly, it was yearly. Once a year, you got a pay raise, maybe, if your performance was good enough. And then I found out their average pay increase was a whole 10 cents an hour. Imagine working for a company for a year, going in for your performance review, and getting rewarded with a whole 10 cents, a whole dime, a dime more every hour. Yeah, wow, big money there. And some people only got 5 cents. I asked my supervisor, what do I have to do to get a quarter raise? Because that's what I was used to in my previous retail experience, getting, quarter raises every couple of months. And my boss looked at me and said, "Ralph, you got to be Superman to get a 25-cent an hour pay raise around this place." And it was like, man, did I screw up? But, it was working for that company that gave me the incentive to start working for myself and start becoming an entrepreneur. Because, yeah, I eventually, after a few years of going nowhere with that company, began to realize that my potential for advancement because of my age was nil. Yeah, they didn't want older guys in their 50s. They wanted younger guys with business degrees in their 20s and younger gals with business degrees in their 20s. They wanted those people for management, not old farts like me. So when I hit that glass ceiling, I mean, technically age discrimination, it's supposed to be illegal, but it's still practiced. And my one of the people I worked with was surprisingly honest about this. Yeah, I asked, I've had my application in for management here now for 2 years. 2 years. What do I have to do to advance in this company? And he said, "Ralph, I hate to say it, you're a good guy, you're smart, you're a good worker. We like you because you're a good worker, but for management, You're just too damned old. Yeah, just straight out. Not looking for old guys. We're looking for young guys with master's degrees and business degrees and more degrees than a thermometer. So when I finally heard that, I realized that I started working up my own part-time business, began working my own exit strategy, began to build up a company that, would be run by me, that would not discriminate, that would not be pulling those tricks on people, and that would be building myself and my wife an opportunity that would allow us to advance as we saw fit, not as anyone else saw fit. And we've done that. So, yeah, the one downside of being an employee is that your time is not your own. Your money really isn't your own. If you get to the point where you can no longer trade your time for money, you're history. You're out of there. You're broke. You're done. You're through. Your goose is cooked. And as an entrepreneur now, uh, you can figure out ways to scale your income. You can learn certain business models. You can learn to do certain businesses well enough to start developing an income stream here, maybe another income stream there. And you can learn how to scale your income. You can set your own hours, be your own boss. There's a lot of freedom in being an entrepreneur as opposed to being an employee. But there's a lot of responsibility that goes with it and a lot of risk. One story that I am going to close on, it's not a personal story, but I was watching some reruns of the old Charmed TV series from like the late 1990s and the early 2000s. And I got looking at, three sisters, the story of three sisters who had supernatural powers. One was an entrepreneur. The other two were usually working for somebody else. And it's like the way that old series was set up. It's like, they had to drop everything whenever something happened. They had to go out, vanquish a demon, and save the world. And so the one sister, Piper, who was an entrepreneur, she was her own boss. She ran her own club. She hired people to take care of the club when she had to be gone. And it was like when something happened, she had to run off to vanquish a demon and save humanity. She could do it. She could just drop it, just say, hey, I got to leave the club. I'm leaving you in charge. We got Pat Benatar coming in. Her band's going to be playing at 8. They need to come in at 5 to set up the sound stage, make sure the back door's open, let them in, blah, 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 order the swizzle sticks. And yeah, I'll see you later when I get back. And I mean, she had just total freedom, drop everything and run, sometimes at the drop of the hat. The other two sisters with jobs, they didn't have that kind of freedom. They get a phone call. We got to go vanquish a demon. We got to go save the world. It's like, oh my, oh my, oh, well, I got to go. Got family problems. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I got to go. Got to run. Oh, yeah, my mommy's sick. My dog's sick. Something. Make up an excuse. Got to go. Got to run. It's like they had to beg for the time off so that they could run out and save humanity from whatever it was they were saving humanity from that week. And it was like in that show, you've got that difference illustrated between the freedom of being an entrepreneur, being able to just drop everything, do what you have to do, as opposed to the lack of freedom that you have working for somebody else and having to explain to your boss, okay, in real life, stuff happens. Single moms, the baby's sick. What are you going to do? Take the baby into the office with you? Can't always do that. Some places you can't do that. You got to call in. You got to take some time off. You got to take family time, family leave. In my own life, I had to take care of my parents in their old age. My mom had Alzheimer's disease. My dad had vascular dementia. He also had heart problems, breathing problems. I mean, God, when they got into their final years, their last 10 years of life, they needed help. And I couldn't always be there for them. when I was working 60 miles away in the next town, and so that's why I quit that job, among other reasons. I needed the freedom to be able to generate my own income so that I could take care of my wife, so I could take care of my mom and dad, so I could take care of my family. And in the beginning, when I made that call to fire my boss and just kick my own home based business up into high gear because I already had my own home based business going before I fired my boss. And then when I decided it was time, I had to. I had to leave. I had to be independent so I could have the time to take care of my parents because I was getting calls 3 o'clock in the morning. Ralph, can you come up here? I can't breathe. Ralph, can you come up here? Your mom's sundowning. She's going crazy. It's like, man, I it just got to the point. I realized I could not leave those two alone for very long at a time at all. And so, yeah, I had to figure out a way to generate money from home so that I could have the freedom to do the more important things in life, taking care of my parents like they took care of me in my younger years. I had to do that for them in their older years. And I mean, yeah, if it wasn't for home based business, I would not have had the freedom to have done that. They would have been carted off to a nursing home a heck of a lot sooner than what they were, unfortunately. But I mean, we were able to keep them in their own home for quite a few years because we made that sacrifice. And looking back, it really wasn't that big of a sacrifice because I hated my other job. I didn't like not being free. I love my life now. I'm a free agent and I can scale my own income. I can figure out ways to go from 5 figures to 6 figures. I'm doing that now. That's the next step of my journey. A lot of people they're trying to figure out how can I generate 5 figures from home. Well, been there, done that, doing it now. Now I want to figure out, and I am how to generate 6 figures, and then from there how to generate a 7 figure income. These things are possible in home based business. No guarantee. I mean, it all depends on you. You got to do the work. You got to learn the trade. You've got to learn the craft. You've got to take total responsibility, do what it takes. And then once you figure it out, though, things can be great. But in all honesty, not everybody figures it out. Took me a few months to figure it out. Other folks takes a few years. Some people, they never figure it out at all. So that we'll just leave it that. But I mean, that's the last key benefit to being an employee is that, yeah, lower learning curve. Yeah, you can go out, you can find a job. It's got some security as long as you're willing to trade your time for money. Then, yeah, you've got a little bit of a pay that's guaranteed almost, unless they decide to cut your hours and lay you off. Been there, done that. Not a good place to be, but it happens, sadly. But yeah, it doesn't take a whole lot to be an employee. And yeah, you are guaranteed a paycheck. If you show up, you do the job, and don't get your tail fired. An entrepreneur, once you learn how to do it, it can pay well, and you can scale your income. You can realize a life of freedom. And that's what I'm going to talk about more tomorrow. Who in their right mind would want to be an entrepreneur? Well, a person who wants freedom, personal freedom, time freedom, financial freedom, all that freedom. It's more than just a word, it's a way of life once you learn how to live it, how to work for it, how to realize it. But yeah, a lot of people are not cut out to be entrepreneurs, quite frankly. A lot of people are better off being employees and do your 40-year hitch, show up. If you're lucky enough to be able to find a job that lasts for 40 years, I never was. All the companies that I worked for over the last several years of my life, they all went bankrupt. They all went through corporate downsizing. They all went out of business. They went overseas. One thing after another. Every couple of years, I was out looking for another job because the old one shut down. just no sense of job security at all. That was my experience. Now, other folks, you may be a little bit more fortunate. Maybe you're better job hunters than what I was. Maybe you do have a little bit more job security. But yeah, as an entrepreneur, now I get to create my own money, get to create my own businesses. I can create my own income, but I got to take total responsibility for all that, or else it just don't pan out. So, yeah, not everybody is cut out to be an employee. Not everybody is cut out to be an entrepreneur. Depends on you. Where are you at in your mindset? What are you willing to do? How much responsibility are you really willing to take? If you want low responsibility and a guaranteed paycheck week by week by week, employee, that's the way to go. If you want a lot of freedom, you want the freedom to set your own hours, live your own life, do your own thing, and take total responsibility for doing the work, scaling your income, doing whatever it takes, then yeah, being an entrepreneur is a way to go. But it's different for different people. Not here to try to sell anybody on one thing or another, just encouraging you to do your own research and then do what is right for you. For me, leaving the corporate world behind and being my own person as a home based business entrepreneur made perfect sense. I set my own dress code here. Hawaiian shirt month. I'm going to do it again. 2 months in a row. I don't know who's counting, but yeah, I like it. Get to wear socks with holes in the toes. I know, may not be a big thrill for a lot of people, but it's kind of my thing. Set your own dress code. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Who in their right mind would want to be an entrepreneur? Why would anyone want to be an entrepreneur? We'll talk about that in tomorrow's live stream. Until then, I've rambled on long enough. This is Ralph signing out. If you want to catch some of my offers, we've got a little bit of everything on this links page. But yeah, just go to ralphhomebiz.com/offers. I've got one free offer at the very top of the page. I highly recommend you check out. If you want to grow your income, if you want to grow a mindset of abundance, the Grow Rich Mastermind call every Monday through Friday. Fantastic opportunity. Tune in every day live if you can. If you can't, you can always catch the latest recording. And I mean, these are just entrepreneurs helping other entrepreneurs, sharing their stories, how they went from broke and busted to where they're at now, and just encouraging everybody how to develop a mindset of abundance and freedom. Because at the end of the day, for me as an entrepreneur, that's what it's all about. Having enough abundance to have enough freedom to be able to do what I feel I need to do, not punching a darn time clock, but being the time clock. You must be the time clock you want to see in the world. But yeah, you'll find that there, ralphshomebiz.com/offers. I've got not work, entrepreneurial business opportunities listed there too. Uh, yeah, and some of them are pretty low budget. So yeah, some are free. So check it out, see what you think, and we will be coming back at you live tomorrow at 9 o'clock. The recording is going to go up to YouTube at 10 o'clock, and yeah, we'll see you then. Thanks for dropping by, and best of luck in your home-based business journey or personal life journey, wherever that happens to be for you at this time. Take care. God bless.